Thank you. Welcome aboard, folks. Nice to have you on board. Well, there's a bucket load of people on board today. First of all, Nick. G'day, Nick. You made it. You made it to the 578 trillion points for the Fair Star cruise ship, which is currently no more. It's probably a piece of scrap iron somewhere. But you've got the points, mate. Well done. You've made it to the top. And, well, we'll have to pay out when you arrive. Joe, g'day, Joe. Welcome aboard, buddy. Nice to have you on board. I hope your day was awesome today. Weather was a bit better for you guys. We're sitting on feels like 7 degrees, 65% humidity. It's freaking freezing down in Melbourne. Don't know about you guys up there in Dubbo. Nick is saying it's 4 a.m. here in the USA at Central Time. 4 a.m., my friend, makes 8 p.m. here, 20:02. G'day, Rob. Welcome aboard, buddy. 4 more days to Cruise Day. And I believe, Rob, you still haven't packed your Ziploc bag yet. But anyway, welcome aboard. Nice to have you guys down under. First of all, let's get down to what's important. Who's in the... what ships are in what ports. So we're looking at currently in the New South Wales, in Sydney ports. Currently, today being the 25th, we had the Coral Princess. Tomorrow, Disney Wonder... Sorry, not tomorrow. Friday, Disney Wonder makes it into Sydney Harbour. So that's going to be amazing. I think it'll have done its repositioning cruise. So here we go. It's headed down under. Next in Victoria, well, we're waiting for the Grand Princess to make it in on Saturday. That'll be awesome. And then on Friday the 3rd, we'll have Disney Wonder. So there we go. In Brizzy, let's have a look. Some of the ports in Brizzy. October the 25th. Well, today Royal Princess headed into Brisbane. And on Friday, it'll be the Coral's turn. So there we go, having some exciting stuff. Nick, only new thing with him this week is he has to put about $500 worth of car parts into your car this week. Luckily, his brother can do it because the shop told him they wanted $3,000. Cars are money pits. What's wrong now with your car, my friend? What is going on? Why the $500 worth of parts? What is going on? Are you rebuilding the vehicle from scratch or what? Are you putting rail wheels on it so that you can drive on rails? What's going on? Why the huge expense? Well, just another day in another time frame, and oh my goodness me. So so we've got all these ships coming in. The Disney Wonder. Now that's an exciting one because that's a newbie, which, interestingly enough, the majors will all give us their old stuff, but the ones that are the unique ones, like Disney, like Virgin Cruises, Virgin at any rate. Virgin have done an interesting one. They will be providing us with their brand new Resilient Lady when it's when they come on down, and everything will be exciting. We get a couple of brand new ships. Nick is saying that he's got to replace the 2 front struts, 2 back shocks, and both rear brakes. The labour charge was outrageous for the amount of work that needs to be done. Parts are worn out and need to be replaced. Goodness me, mate. What do? Go out back driving? Go in the bush? Joe is saying a work colleague of his just paid $4,000 for their local Ford dealer to replace the park neutral position sensor in the 6R80 automatic transmission in his Ford Ranger. Goodness me. Joe, that's like highway robbery. Fucking help it. I don't go to the dealerships. I always go to somebody else who'll do it a bit cheaper, you know. More often than not, they'll use the genuine part, and yes, the genuine part will be a bit on the cheaper side. But at the end of the day, you know what? It's a bit of extra money in my back pocket. Goodness me, that's a shock to the system. Well, you know what? I was doing a little bit of research on the side. Hang on. Nick says he had to replace his entire engine back in April. That's right, I remember that. For your Ford, they designed it terribly and they are failing prematurely everywhere. This will be the last Ford you ever own. Interestingly enough, both Ford and GM are having a few issues with regard to with regard to their vehicles and so forth. So there we go. Okay, now I was looking at. No, I can't bring it up there. Let me just have a look. Yeah, Nick is saying it's part of a class action. Now, let me see. Yeah, okay, we'll go there. That'll do. Yeah, we'll go there. No, we'll go there. No, we'll go there. We'll pick it. We'll see what is around everywhere. All right. Part of a class action, currently in litigation. He should be getting paid back at some point. Joe is saying we go to an independent mechanic and he's good. We had to have the valve cover gasket replaced on their Toyota. It was cheaper to get the gasket from Dubbo City Toyota compared to the aftermarket. True, but on the other hand, the labour charges would have been a damn sight less. Halfwit, how are you, buddy, man? Nice to see you. I've been in the background in a couple of your videos. You've been having some good old chats about things that are going on, and nice to see you. Nice to have a chat, and hopefully we'll get to see more of you, mate. Okay, so now let me just have a look and tell you what's going on with various cruises. Let's see, departure ports. Let's pick. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go to the major. Let me just do this and go Carnival, for example. Actually, no, P&O, because P&O have got some specials on at the moment, and they've got. We were having a look earlier on today at some of their stuff going on. So, yeah, that's exciting. Joe is saying $68 for an aftermarket gasket versus $35 from Toyota. Very true. Very true. But you know what? The good news is don't go to the majors don't go to Toyota to get them to put it in for you. They'll charge you the earth. All right, P&O Cruises in Oz in 2023. Hey guys, there's a comedy cruise coming up from the 16th of December on P&O. Let's look at the cruise. 2 people per room. If you're into comedy, so it's on the Pacific Encounter, which is the sister. I think it's the sister ship to the old Golden Princess. Excuse me. A bit of fruit wanting to come back there. For an interior room, you're looking at $539 a person for 2 people on board a cruise. I mean, that's like, where does it go? It goes out of Sydney. I think it goes out of Sydney or Melbourne. Let me just have a look. Yeah, it goes out of Sydney, does a cruise around. Oh, it goes out of Brizzy. There's one that goes out of Brizzy, does 3 days at sea, and then goes back into Brizzy. I mean, seriously, that's like seriously reasonable. Rob is saying, but when you are dealing with warranties, it might be that you must use the dealership so you don't void the warranty. Actually, that's a crock of garbage. You cannot say that here in Australia. If you have a warranty, it's the major company that has the warranty requirement, unless it's specifically stated in your sales thing. The reason why I know that for a fact is my daughter is involved in warranty, and really it's a load of garbage. The courts have taken it. It has been taken to court, and any motor mechanic that is a legitimate motor mechanic and follows the rules, goes by the book, can actually do warranty work, and it must be paid out by the major company. Like, for example, if it was a Ford, Ford would be responsible for paying it. If it was a Toyota, Toyota would be responsible, and so on and so forth. So that's the way the rules work down under. Whoa. Here's a playback from way back, at least 24 hours. G'day, Jimmy. How are you, buddy? Hopefully, you have... hopefully, Jimmy, you've recovered and you've actually packed your Ziploc bag, and so you're ready for your cruise in 4 or 5 days? 4 days? 5 days? You'll tell me later on. I know Rob has an idea of when that cruise is on, but you'll tell me. Joe is agreeing that's right. Under Australian consumer law, they cannot deny any warranty. The only time you need to go back to a dealer is if your vehicle is recalled. Jimmy's saying g'day to Joe, g'day to Nick. Joe returning the favour. G'day, mate, back from Jimmy. All right. Cruise is Sunday. OMG. What are we? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But you're going up ahead. You're going in on Friday, right? So it's 2 sleeps before you leave home. Okay, Rob, yours is in 4. You're different. You guys fly out on Friday morning. Woohoo! I can hear some... Now, by the way, I don't know if you guys were listening in the background earlier on during the day or during your evening last night. I was actually on... I actually got on to see a couple of lives, one from Danny from Sherry from Destination Fun, and also I was watching Nautical Nurse Nancy, and they were all on board. I can't remember the ship that they were on board, but it's the non-group cruise, and man, there's a bucket load of channels on board. You've got I saw there was traveling with Eric B. There was I believe Dewey was there. I saw Darian from Magnificent Germany with Darian. There's Rafael Viso from Viso's Travel. There was Jeannie and Alan Brock were there. I mean, oh my goodness. D&G Travels was there. Coos Cruisers were there. There's a bucket load of cruises channels on board that cruise ship, which means it's going to be one amazing cruise. At any rate, we'll hear all the fun stuff. I believe Beach Please, both Betsy and Mike from Beach Please are there as well. So it's going to be an amazing cruise. Can't wait to hear all the info that comes back. But then I believe not too far away is the first booze cruise, in which we've got, I know that SCT Travels are going on that one, CME are going on that one, Curtin Marsha. We've got Bruce from what's that ocean to ocean guy again? Yeah, Bruce is going to be on that one. So, and I believe Ross might be on it as well. I could be mistaken. I think he's on the 2, but I believe he could be on that one as well. But anyway, there's, again, Bill from Warm Strong Adventures is going on that one as well. So there's quite a few people going on that cruise. So it's going to be real fun. Getting all the content, getting all the funny stuff of what people have done, and yeah, see how it goes. Joe is saying the mechanic who works on the car needs to be fully licensed and must stamp and date the service logbook. That is correct. Yes, Jimmy, it is getting close. Rob, I also fly Friday too. Jimmy, what airline did you say you're going with? And is it direct? Now, Rob, I thought you were taking an aeroplane. You decided not to use your arms anymore? Or have you decided to use your arms? Joe, I might not be in to have a chat with you. To Jimmy, yawning your bum off. You mean your bum's yawning? Oh my God. Oh boy, what a yawn. Jimmy, we have Rob on our cruise. Yep. Yeah, you've also got Clocky going on that cruise. You've got a couple of others, haven't you? I know your cruise is not going to be that small either. Let's smash the thumbs up for Sean. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Jimmy's flying with Southwest. I don't know what Colleen is doing. With one quick stop in Baltimore. And that's nice. Jimmy's saying Denise and Clocky. Oh, yeah, Denise. I forgot about Denise. I know that Denise has been doing the countdown. Joe is saying, all my knowledge of this stuff is because my father, rest in peace, was a mechanic. Ah, so it's in the family, huh? So you are in the family. Well, there we go. It's going to be awesome. Well, look. Barry Brain too. Now, really, who is Barry? Some people think it might be Blaine. I don't know. But you'll find out anyway. Joe is saying Southwest, love the airline. You've been on Southwest, Joe? And how did you manage to get onto Southwest? Have you been to the States, Joe? Okay, so what I figured was, Rob's going with American Airlines. Yeah, okay. What I thought I would do is just a little bit of advertising here, folks. I'm going to actually let you have a look at a cruise that is going to be happening in 435 days, and in the words of some people, it is the cruise of all time. I could be accused of bias because it is the cruise that we're going to be going on, the Downunder's group cruise. Joe, you might want to contemplate this. Anybody else on our side of the pond? You might want to contemplate this because I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing cruise. So let's just get this in here and I will get it up and running. Here we go. Yes, we're certainly looking forward to going on that cruise. It's going to be an absolutely amazing time. And yeah, what do you know? We will have a buckload of fun. And in fact, so much fun because Ilana lived in Fiji, so part of the thing is Ilana will organise an excursion, and we'll go and have a look at Suva, which is areas where she lived and grew up, and it's going to be awesome. It is amazing. N. Now let me just have a look at my keyboard. N is nowhere near I. Love Southwest too. So, no, okay. Barry is supposed to be revealing him or herself. Yeah, let's hope he doesn't do it in public. Joe, no, just watched a funny video with a flight attendant who works for Southwest. Oh, that's cool. And no, all my travel so far has been within Australia. Oh, well, Joe, you never know. Strange things could happen. I can also tell you what cars to buy, what cars to avoid, what to look for when buying said cars, and what can and usually does go wrong with them. So can you tell me what's happening with electric vehicles? Okay, so for example, Joe is saying, for example, his younger brother purchased a Toyota Land Cruiser VDJ 200. The biggest thing with them is the air cleaner causes dust to get into the engine. $20,000 for a new engine. Jeez. Seriously. Yeah, but people have got to be more careful, right? Yeah, you know, if you're going to drive in areas where there's lots of dust, put an air filter on, etc., etc. Okay, so the ship that we'll be cruising on is that one behind me, the Celebrity Edge. And apparently that ship is about 5 or 6 years old, I believe. So it's a relatively new one, and that's coming down for us. I believe it may even be down this year, but I know that next year it's coming down for our season. We will be doing January the 2nd, as the video said. January 2nd for 15 days, coming back January the 16th. And, yup, it's going to be awesome, because then straight after that, I can head back home and do some decent work. Yeah, and it'll be fun. Will we get Captain Kate? That's a good question. Don't know. I think she's on a newer ship. I think. I could be wrong. But, hey, I'm hoping. You know what? I'm just happy to get on a cruise ship. Anytime you get on one of those things and you go anywhere, it's... Jimmy, look at it this way. How else can you afford the cruise? So I'm happy to go to work as long as I can get my cruise at the end. Joe is saying, are you talking about Captain Kate McHugh? She is awesome, and yes, she is. So we look forward to actually having the opportunity to cruise with her. At least, well, if we're lucky enough. Otherwise, I'm happy with whatever cruise I go on. It's going to be awesome, really awesome. So, now, there are some people who want to come down. Some of the things that you can look at when you come down and cruise, they won't let me sail with just my strikingly good looks. Exactly, Joe. Jimmy, I said that too, mate. Look, I even got the new room for a good-looking face, but you know what? You've just got to pay them the money. You know, the spandoolies. Everything comes with money, so you got to do the work and you've got to get on with the job. Joe, she has a Sphinx cat she affectionately named Bug. He's awesome too. Yeah, and I believe he actually goes on board the cruise ship as well. Damn. So, yes, Jimmy, I agree. Us good-looking guys get no respect. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we even get respect from our wives, but more often than not, we don't from anybody. Well, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Watch me put my foot in it. Sometimes I only open my mouth to change feet. Okay, some of the things you should do when you come down under, and if you're going to go on to our group cruise, yes, come down for January the 1st. Actually, come down for New Year's Eve if you can. Get a look at an area called the Rocks, which is just near Circular Quay, which is where said cruise ship is leaving from Circular Quay at the overseas passenger terminal. If you were pointing in the same direction as the cruise ship, that is bow in towards the city, you've got the CBD in front of you, Sydney CBD. To the right is the Rocks, and if you turn your head a little bit further round, you'll see the coat hanger, affectionately known as, that being the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Cast your eyes left, you've got Sydney Opera House, and that is one awesome view to go and have a look at. She probably is listening, and I'm saying things like this because I want her to come and join us. I'd love her to join us on the show at some point. Okay, so Sydney Harbour Bridge to your left, so that I've just lost my hand. Jeez, got it back. Whew. So, yep, Sydney Opera House to your left, the coat hanger to your right. Behind me or behind you, if you're on board the ship, behind you is Taronga Zoo. And what makes it so exciting is ship reverses out, it puts its tail, its aft underneath the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and when it sails out, it goes straight out towards the Sydney Heads, and then out towards open ocean. But the good news is you've got a lot of, well, there is a bucket load of money on that on the water's edge. But on the left-hand side, as you go out, you'll see areas like Taronga Zoo. You'll get, and those animals have the most amazing view of the Sydney CBD. It is absolutely incredible. One of the things you can do when you go into Sydney is there's a cruising group called Captain Cook. And what they have is they've got various cruise ships that'll take you through around the harbour. And if you're there early enough, you can jump on one of these little cruises. They take you around. Say you do a lunchtime cruise. So it'll take you up through Sydney Harbour, up into one of the rivers that feed you lunch and bring you back down again. Now, one of the exciting things that does happen, and unfortunately we won't be around for it because we'll be out heading towards Fiji and so forth. But one of the things that you can do is, particularly on Boxing Day, if you're around for Boxing Day, that's the day after Christmas. No, we won't be sailing then. But if you're in early enough, on Boxing Day, what happens is the Sydney to Hobart yacht race starts. And what you do is jump on one of these cruise ships, these Captain Cook cruise ships, and you can actually watch the boats as they cross the line and the Sydney to Hobart yacht race starts. It is actually quite an amazing thing because you jump on the boat, it goes around, takes you on a little bit of a cruise around. You have some lunch, and then they take you up. They lead you up, and this is big stuff because there's an area that gets closed off to the public, which is just for these sailing ships, these sailing boats, and they take you out from the start line and they follow the boats out towards the heads, and then on their way down towards Hobart. And it is one of the most exciting starts that you can ever have. You've got not only is it all the boats that are in the race doing it, but it's also the little all the other spectator boats that are following the lot, that are trying to get their positions and all that sort of stuff. It is, the Sydney to Hobart is one of those amazing races to actually go and watch. In actual fact, I saw a couple of guys that were on one of these rubber dinghies, and they had I think it was a 50 horsepower engine on the back, and they were trying to be smart, jumping up and down over the waves and jumping out and over the waves. And they jumped over one wave, and all of a sudden the engine fell off, and one of the guys, just his hand dug straight down, grabbed the engine, pulled it out, and they were stuffed because that engine was full of water. It was not full of fuel. So there we go. But it's exciting to watch this. Joe is saying that he saw one of the 1997 Sydney to Hobart yacht races down in Eden. It was retired due to a breakdown, and I think it was 97 or 98. The winds got up really badly, and they caused a lot of hassles there. For your interest, Bug is not on the... Bug is a Bug is not a he, Bug is a she. Kind of forgot that. Mate, a cat's a cat. Sorry, I'm not a cat person. To me, a cat's a cat. But that's cool. For those that are cat people, there's Bug on the cat. Bug on the ship. It's the only bug that should be on any ship. So yes, you can go and have a look at this at the Sydney the Sydney to Hobart yacht race, and that's an amazing thing to see. Also, don't be afraid. Australia Zoo is in Queensland. That's a nice thing to go and watch. You can go and get to see the crocs. You actually get to see Steve Irwin's son in full flight. His daughter Bindi is there as well. The whole family are still there, and they still do run things out of up in the north there. I know that Nick, when he flies down, he's flying into Brisbane so that he can get down to have a look at Australia Zoo, and then from there he's going to go down to Sydney, I think it is, to take the train across to Perth and back, and then he's going to fly down to Darwin and fly up to Darwin and take the GAN down and back. So that's going to be an awesome time. But anyway, and then he's coming down to Melbourne, I think. I think it's before he goes on the trains, he's coming down under to Melbourne and then heads up north. How big is your Ziploc bag going to be, or would I really say how small will it be? Rob, I'm embarrassed. Please don't bring my Ziploc bag up. It's between me and my Ziploc bag. After all, that's all Ilana will give me, is the Ziploc bag. Okay, so one of the other things that you can do when you come into Sydney is there. This group, Captain Cook, and there's also a couple of others. They do a kind of guided tour thing. So what you can do is you can pay, say, a certain amount, and you get access to Taronga Zoo. So you'll go from Circular Quay up to across the waterway to Taronga Zoo, go and have a look at the zoo, come back down, catch the same ferry, and then from there you can take that to various places, like take the ferry off to a place called Manly, or the other side to Rose Bay, or whatever, and they will take you around, and you pay a small amount, but at the end of the day it's a great way to get around the harbour and have a look, and then you come back in. It's all at one price. You can trip around whenever you feel like. That's awesome. Joe is saying that a friend of his races superboats. He has two 300 horsepower Evinrudes E2 E-Tex on his boat, and he races in the Super 600 class. He hydrolyzed the engine once, and she bent one of the connecting rods. OMG. That's like... No, that's not good. That's not good at all. Rob is saying, well, I would have to say she being very generous giving you a Ziploc bag. Sure, I'll just go in my birthday suit. Would that be okay with you, Rob? Okay, so the next place that I would suggest you come on down is to our hometown, Melbourne. Now, wait a minute, before you do that, Sydney has a fairly good train service that is underground. They go underground in the city and then come up in the various suburbs. Train about every 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, depending. In the CBD, it's a lot more frequent. Fly into Sydney, you can catch a train from there to the Sydney Sydney Central, which is where Nick is going to go from, and that's awesome. Now, come on down to Melbourne, and you'll get to see quite a bucket load of things. Hang on. Joe is saying if anyone gets to go to Rose Bay, head up New South Head Road and visit a chocolate shop called Perfection Chocolates and Sweets. Yes, mate, been to that shop, and it is unbelievable. Rob, I'm not even going to read it. Seriously. It's not even worth a comment, mate. Seriously, get out of the gutter. Okay, so now you come down to Melbourne. Now, Melbourne is a very interesting place because it's got a lot of various things that date back to years and years and years. At one point in 1900, Melbourne was actually Australia's capital until Canberra was built, and then the capital functions moved to the federal functions were then moved from Melbourne to Canberra, and the reason why Canberra was picked was because Sydney got jealous, and so they made Canberra was kind of halfway, leaning more towards Sydney, but kind of halfway between Sydney and Melbourne. So there we go. Train from Sydney Airport to Central is $13. Thanks for that, Joe. He knows the owner of Perfection Chocolates well. Is he your cousin, brother, best mate? And when you go there, Joe, do you walk in as a guest and come out as cargo because of all the chocolates and sweets that are there? My problem is I would walk in as a visitor and need to be forklifted out of there. But that's just me. Okay, so with Melbourne, you've got some of the streets around Melbourne. There are areas in the CBD which are filled with graffiti, and it's well worth watching, going and taking various photos. Also, there's an area called Federation Square. Now, Federation Square, you can see some live bands and music and all sorts of things happening, which the Circular Quay, Federation Square actually borders on the Yarra River, and just across the road from Federation Square is Flinders Street Station. Flinders Street Station, it's a train station, and it is the main domestic train station. And Flinders Street has a facade on the front with a whole lot of clocks on it. And those clocks tell you what time each train is leaving. Now, they are actual clocks with dials, and there was a time where the then state government decided they were going to remove those clocks and replace them with digital clocks. And what happened was there was a whole big riot about it. So the then state government decided he'd better keep it in place. So that's what happened. Joe is saying, the guy's name is John Capos and is a good friend of his. Joe's saying one day he'll get back to Melbourne. In 2016, he got to stand in the stands of the MCG, got to go and explore the chocolate side of Melbourne, and got to visit a friend's business in Dandenong. Hey, that's awesome. Nick is saying, good to know about the train from the airport to downtown Sydney. Definitely going to need that for his flights to Melbourne. He thought about XPT, but he saw some reviews on them and decided he'd rather fly. Well, it is a bit quicker flying than catching the train. Nick, it's not too expensive compared to Brisbane. The train from the airport to Brisbane is $18. Wow. Okay. So, one of the other things is, so Melbourne has got a building called the Exhibition Buildings. The Exhibition Buildings used to be State Parliament, and Parliament House in the centre of Melbourne, which is the state parliament for our state, the state of Victoria, that was federal parliament. And so you can go and get in there and have a look at them. Also, the MCG, as Joe has spoken about, MCG is Hello Turf for 2 courses. MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground. Now, at the MCG, basically, you will find in the summer months, international cricket gets played there. In the winter months, we have Aussie rules football being played there. And a bucket load of teams call the MCG their home base. So it's rather exciting. You come and have a look. Then we also have almost right next door to the MCG, we've got the Melbourne Tennis Centre, which is where the Melbourne Open is played, or the Australian Open, I should say. The Australian Open is played. It used to be played in a place called Kooyong. Kooyong is a suburb a little bit further out. It's about 15 minutes out of the city. But they decided to create these tennis courts and bring everybody in. So there is the Melbourne Tennis Club right in the city. Joe is saying the business in Dandenong is Membreys Transport. I know Membreys. I know where they are. Nick is saying he's flying into Brisbane, so he'll be seeing that firsthand as well. Joe's saying, only too glad to help. Yep, Rod Laver Arena is one of the arenas in the Melbourne Tennis Centre. You've got Rod Laver, you've got John Cain Arena, you've got, I don't know why we've got that one, but anyway. Rod Laver, there's about, it's got about 12 courts. 3 of them are kind of like centre courts. So Rod Laver is the main centre court, and then the other 2 are the side 2 and 3, and then there are other little courts at the end. Because if they played all the players in centre court, we would never have a game of tennis. The Melbourne Cup or the Australian Open would go for ages. So also in the CBD area, there you will get to see where the Botanical Gardens is. The Botanical Gardens is basically the Governor of Victoria. It's his residence, just on the back there. And that's next to a shrine called the Shrine of Remembrance, which remembers all our fallen soldiers. So there we go. Small world. Craig Membry is a really good friend of his too. Well, that's awesome. Well, when you're down, we'll go and visit Craig together, hey? How's that? Maybe I can get Craig to come and get some of his boys doing some training at my end. Now, there is a forgotten place that unfortunately does get forgotten, and that is Tasmania. And Jonesy lives in Tasmania. Jonesy lives kind of up north near an area called Swansea. But the capital of Tasmania is Hobart. Sorry, is yeah, it's Hobart. And that's where the Joe, you're going to correct me. I know if I'm wrong. And that's where the Sydney to Hobart yacht race ends up in Hobart, and they call Tasmania the Apple Isle because it looks like an apple, kinda, but also it is one of the biggest areas for producing fruit, veggie. Well, it's not that tropical. It's a lot colder than we are, but they produce fruit and cattle and some of the best cheeses. The most amazing beers come from there. So yeah. Joe is saying that he caught a tram from the CBD to St Kilda. That was fun. Went to an all-German car show. That was fantastic. Where was the car show? Was it in the city, or was it at I don't know. Where was the car show? Joe is saying Hobart it is. Yep, that's good. I remembered correctly. That's correct. It finishes at Constitution Dock in Hobart. And some New Years go down very well when the Sydney to Hobart finishes relatively early, and other New Years go down very solemn because it's taken ages for the ships to go down, and it all depends on the prevailing winds, because none of them are powered. Unless if they turn on the power, they're disqualified. So it is an amazing race, the Sydney to Hobart. Joe is saying, in the grounds of the School for the Deaf and Blind. Oh, wow. So that's in St Kilda, in St Kilda Road. And you caught a tram. Did you? You said you caught a tram? Yeah, tram. Yeah, we still run trams in Melbourne. The Melbourne trams are great. Sydney is starting to bring back their trams. In Sydney, their trams were, and also Adelaide. Adelaide has got a tram. But the trams were run by, there were horse-drawn trams in Sydney, and now they've all become electrified and so forth. Joe is saying that Tasmania is also the home to some of the best honey, Mole Creek, Leatherwood, and whiskey, Sorel and Launceston. Yeah, they do have some good whiskey coming out of Tassie. And the reason why Tassie beer and alcohol is so good is because the water in Tassie is so clear and fresh and clean. Unlike, when you come and look at the Yarra River, you look at it and you go, man, that river's upside down. But it is clean too, but it's also, we used to have these companies that would have these bicycles. They weren't electrified bicycles; they were just ordinary bicycles. They ended up with like heaps of them thrown in the Yarra River. And I can tell you, man, they got banned out of Victoria. Now that we've got electric bikes and scooters, they're not banned. But there are certain rules that allow you. And so what's going to happen is, if ever you come on down, come and have a look at the city. And when you come in the city, see, maybe you can get one of these day cruises along the Yarra River, and that'll take you up and down the Yarra River, and you can have a look, see. Some of the most... Melbourne at one point was, as I said, it was the capital, but it was also one of the richest cities in the world. So it's awesome. Joe can vouch for that, for the distillery at Sorel. And Joe's also saying Bilson's in Beechworth is one of the best distilleries or breweries in Victoria. They actually have a in-house well fed by a spring. And that's cool. Yeah, Bilson's. Yeah, but that's Victorian. But even then, some of the Tassie stuff absolutely beats us. For example, Jimbo's beer. Man, that's a really nice beer, and because it's such a nice beer, it is Tasmanian made, but it's still a very nice. It's much better than anything we can produce, and dare I say it, much better than anything New South Wales or Queensland can produce. Only because the water's so clear. And then, of course, Nick, you're going to be in Brisbane, so Brisbane is an interesting city. It is it is the third largest city at this point because it takes in an area as well called the Gold Coast, and the Gold Coast would be kind of like I'm just picking at it, but I would say it would be kind of like maybe Vegas to some extent, because yes, there are casinos and all that sort of stuff, but the Gold Coast is basically it's warm most of the time, and you get the opportunity to just walk around in bathers, and they either have dry or wet season. It's not summer or winter. So people who live on the Gold Coast will say that 28 degrees is freezing cold, and they'll put on some sort of jumper or something, or sweater or whatever, but it is actually quite pleasant weather. Joe is saying that distillery at Sorel is a great family-run business called Nonasuch Distillery. He knows their whiskey distiller well. Mate, you know a lot of good people. You know a lot of good people. So just keep that up. You know, you never know what might transpire. Okay, so I don't know. Any questions about Denise? I was just thinking about you. Last shift, or are you having a break? And if you are having your last shift, I hope it's a quick and safe one, and a healthy one. So because you've got 4 days to go to a cruise. So yeah. So that's Melbourne, that's Sydney, Brisbane, and the Gold Coast. Adelaide is a huge country town, and we did you'll find on the Downunder Cruisers, there is a video that I did with Ilana and I in Adelaide. And we've met up with Arthur from Arthur's Cruises. So that's going to be awesome. It is a great video because you get to see Adelaide's balls. Denise, last shift, she'll be off in a couple of hours for 2 weeks. I know what you're doing in those 2 weeks. Cruise day. Have you packed yet? Or are you like Jimmy? Joe, Dubbo has 2 great craft beer breweries. One is in West Dubbo and the other on the other side of town. Well, Joe, you know what? I might have to... I'll tell you what. I don't know if you got me in Messenger, but I've got my details in the description below. Send us the names of some of the beers that they've got, and I'll see if I can get it at Dan Murphy's, or else accidentally send us some. You know what I mean? I'll give it a go. Denise is having a giggle there. She's packed, but she's unpacking and repacking today. Why? Have you got too much? Are you doing the usual? You know what you need? I'll tell you what you need. You need 2 skirts, 3 blouses, a pair of bathers, and that's about it. You don't need much. Oh, yeah, you need other things. Yeah, you're taking way too much. I know. if I had limited, well, actually, I was quite surprised. Ilana and I had, we had 53 kilos, which would have amounted to like 4 bags each. Not 4 bags each, but 53 kilos each to take with us on board the ship. So we were flying, we were going to be out of Melbourne for 3 weeks, and then on the cruise, and then another couple of days, and then back into Melbourne. And we ended up taking 3 suitcases, and all our clothes fitted into 1 suitcase. And the other was for gifts and promotion stuff for our group cruise. And then we came back with the same 3 suitcases. Again, the one that we expected to empty out got filled with a bucket load of souvenirs and stuff. That was funny. Denise is saying our January cruise will be a backpack and carry-on. That's the best way to do it. Joe, you can't get them at Dan's. I'll see if I can ship some samplers down. Mate, that would be awesome. If I can't get them at Dan's, at Dan Murphy's, well then, like to try some. Seriously would. Okay. Denise is saying we have 2 big suitcases, 1 medium and 1 small, plus backpacks. Well, you know what? The good news is you're still within the U.S. And depending on which airline you go on, can be quite costly to take your luggage. Although in your case, it's not going to be that bad. For us, they tried to slog us because Air New Zealand gave us 53 kilos each. And apparently you only have 25 or something like that. And United tried to slug us with the extra suitcase, and we went, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Look at our ticket. And our ticket showed that we had 53 kilos. So there we go. At any rate, I know you guys are all going to be going off on your cruise ship fairly soon, and so we wish you guys all the best. It's coming up to the hour, so I'm going to start to shut this down. But I want to thank everybody for coming on board. Don't forget our lovely charity here. Please go ahead, donate. Put some bucks in, because we want to get more people on board, like Kenny, like a few others. We'd like to get more people on board the cruise ship with us so that they can have some fun in the sun and enjoy and see what it's like to go cruising. Anyway, folks, I'm going to, yes, go ahead, get headed for Jimmy's show. And listen, just go in there and say, Ilana sent you. And folks, have an awesome day. We'll be back again on Friday night. I believe on Sunday we'll be on Saturday night at 10 p.m. we will be on Embarkation Nation's show, helping out a couple of people who are going to come down under. So, folks, look forward to seeing you. Have fun. Spend time with Jimmy. And we'll catch you later. Take care now.